Yeah, you're listening to CFRU 93.3 FM, 250 watts of community power.
Welcome everybody, this is Caribbean Anthology, Docta Def right here, and definitely we have a special guest. Of course, everybody's seen his face some way, somehow, on some kind of social media platform. Yes, that's right, his name is DJ WIZ, and you know what, DJ WIZ has been around for a long time, and we're gonna get to find out all of that stuff in this little segment of the show. And I just wanted to let everybody know that first and foremost, just make sure that you lock in on channel 948 in your Rogers cable station or on CFRU.ca to listen to this live online, and just check out the archives in case you missed it. So let's get right to it. Mr. DJ WIZ, welcome.
Blessed love to you, my brother. Blessed love to you. How you doing, man? You good?
Well, we good out here, man, and we're good to see that you're steadily working, and we're doing the same out here as well. You know.
John, I feel like I work more during the quarantine than the regular before the COVID.
Isn't that something? A lot of people are saying that, man. They're putting in the work more so now than when they're regularly out there doing their thing, right?
100, because it's hard to to wake up and not just sit on the couch or watch TV or just lounge and play video games or do whatever. It's hard because you have to. Your mind always has to think what to do next.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. And I came up with an idea, and it's not that an idea that it was absolutely original to the point of overtaking that idea is number one, but the idea of just who I went for. And who I discussed and who I talked to. I think that's what maybe was a mind frame of the people that shocked them a little bit. And the arguments that were bestowed upon us in the social media world and across the globe. You know what I mean? So yeah, it's a blessing.
So okay, now I'm gonna cut right to the chase, because a lot of people are now discovering who DJ WIZ is now from all these interviews. Like, I'm meeting a lot of friends of mine in Jamaica, and they're like, well, say DJ WIZ, I don't know where him come from. I'm bad, yeah, check out them channel, I'm bad, him wicked. And we want to just give everybody a timeline here, because for everybody who doesn't know, DJ WIZ was a selector for a long time, a very long time. WIZ, maybe you can
still is. But now, you have, with this notoriety now, you have a few younger generation that want to get out there. Mm-hmm. And I guess it's my duty. I feel compelled now to uplift, who I feel comfortable around, to uplift them, to be amongst the WIZ and the WIZ International and make them go out and do their thing. They're not ready to released to the world yet, but they're grooming, and I have two little soldiers that are ready to go. It's crazy how this thing has changed for me during quarantine, where everybody's locked down. You know what I mean? So,
and I wanted to also elaborate, because you weren't even afraid to go into the Clash Arena back in those days as well as a selector, and I remembered those things,
It's crazy because, remember, I never had the amount of dubs that all these sounds had, right? Some sounds used to come with 2 dub boxes, right? And I was always the broke selector, still on the corner, but I used to go to Jamaica, and really, 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 the little change that I had, and a lot of begging, and a lot of, just respect. Yeah. That was what was built between the artists and myself, and a lot of studio engineers, and with the promise to always remember them when I left the island.
Sure.
And being on the radio. I mean, I've been doing this 26 years, bro. Wow. You know what I mean?
Wow.
I bust before the internet stage.
That's right.
So
when I
bust before the internet stage, I was, we know WIZ locally, and the few travels that I did across the globe. I mean, remember, I was the first one ever from Canada to go play in Japan. I was the first one ever to go play in England.
Wow.
So I've crossed those borders, I don't know if I was the first one to ever take a beating in Jamaica, like Sound Clash style, but you know, you win some, you lose some, boy.
Hey, at least you're open with it, right? I like that.
It is what it is.
Yeah,
bro.
yeah,
You know,
yeah.
it is what it is.
So
what it is.
that actually leads up to the next part I wanted to ask you. You know, that whole, you know, every time you made those travels from Canada to Jamaica and even England as well, the artists that you have met and the sound systems, all the selectors and so forth, you must have made sure you stayed in really good contact with them over the years of your works.
For those that didn't pass on, for those that I met and that I could possibly keep in contact through emails and stuff like that, because them times there wasn't this, right? There wasn't no, you know, IG or the Facebook wasn't all that and all that stuff, right? So sometimes some artists, it got very difficult to maintain. When I was when I would travel to England or I traveled to Japan, one of the days might be running around hunting for a studio just to get everything done, because I'm not really the tech savvy kind of guy. I was just loved the music and loved having the vibe in the studio and understand.
Right.
I've asked, you know, a couple people to teach me, like when I was at Jammies, I used to watch, you know, my cousin Black Pearl or War 21, them do their thing. But you're always in awe. I mean, I used to watch the one person that would have really taken me in every time that I went to Jamaica was shot and killed. It was Jerry from Silverhawk.
Oh, yeah, from Silverhawk. Man, I miss him a lot.
Right?
Yeah.
Man, he's the man. He's the one that helped me a lot with, you know, drum plates and stuff. He helped me a lot.
Oh,
and it wasn't money.
So that's a fun fact right there, everybody, because, you know, I'll tell you, a lot of the only other sound that I know in Canada that actually has some sort of direct contact with Silverhawk is Turbo. Yeah, and that's very cool that to know that you had, you know, Jerry and so forth. Jerry was a great selector, man.
Jerry was a great selector, great man, turned into producer, and then he had the studio, of course, up there.
Right.
And he along would enforce the artist them to give him a one tune, give the youth. Because remember, I'm so Canadian, like, bro. I used to be at the studio with Jerry all day, like, because you know our thing, right? Our thing is when we say be somewhere at 9 o'clock, we're there at 8:45.
Right.
And Jerry would be there about 11 o'clock in the morning. So I'd reach maybe sometimes 10:45, sometimes I reach around 12:30, 1:45.
Right.
But I always thought, okay, during the day is business hours. Jamaica's a whole different world. So it'd be just me and Jerry alone in the dots in the studio. And I'm waiting for artists to come and I'm watching Jerry and it's like, no, I just not reach until 9, 10 o'clock at night, you know, youth. I'm like, I can't be. Because honestly, when I went to Jamaica, I trained myself to make sure I adapt to everything about their culture. About things. I know Jamaica's my culture, but I wasn't born there. Right?
Okay, so you want that fluent environment all around you.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I made sure when I went, I took the bus. I took the bus up and down I learned the bus routes. I learned walking in and around. And people may think that's hilarious, but remember, I come from foreign, so I'm supposed to, you know, have it like that and rare. I never, ever had like that. I'm not a man who drinks like that, right? Don't smoke weed like that. So basically, watching the culture evolve around me was absolutely, you know, you have to live it to know it. Yeah. And so I lived it.
A lot of selectors haven't even done what you've done, to be honest with you, with you know, like taking the bus routes and knowing your way around by yourself. You know what I mean? Like that's
you know. So I always had to leave the studio, remember, because it was so getting late, right? So I didn't know how to take the bus like after 10, 11 at night, and you know I'm going from over in the city to Portmore, right? And I'm learning. So by like 8 o'clock. I'm walking down to down the street, grab something to halfway tree over to the city around the corner into Portmore, and it's like, and you're getting home and you're chilling by the whole day time in the heat and everything. You're already tired, so by 9 o'clock, I'm like, I'm beat, bro. I'm tired.
You ain't.
But
yeah.
The people that came to the studio, 5, 6, the artists them who I could have got, because the top artists them now come to 11, 12, and the big sound men them, they knew it like that. I didn't know it like that. Right. There's a lot of things I learned at Jerry's Exodus studio that I transform into life today. So one of the greatest things about was outside, but yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say, what were some of the important things that you did learn in these many trips that you've taken? When you've got to see the artists, you probably worked in the recording studios. You got to see the inner workings of things. What were some of the notable things that you remembered?
Traveling back and forth, going to Jamaica so often from Canada. One of the things I learned was that we were 3 months behind. And when I mean 3 months behind, I mean literally although it's a 4.5 hour flight, we would get music in Jamaica and in Canada. It took me about 1.5 years to analyze it, that we were technically 3 months behind before we knew this song was good.
Right. That was the days of 12-inch and 45 days, yeah.
12-inch and 45s back in those days.
Right.
So let's talk about those days. Now, of course, we're 10 minutes and stuff can reach you. But back then, it was the music, the 12-inch and the 45s. Because when I used to buy records, nobody would have it up here.
Right.
Nobody would have. I remember when I got the Bug Rhythm down at around was it Dave that gave it to me? I was playing Swash in Portmore. And I remember the morning I got the Bug Rhythm and I had to get it on they gave it to me on a DOT, and I had to run over to Arrows and cut it off.
Right. Transfer it.
Because it wasn't pressed yet. It wasn't pressed in those things. And so when I realized that's how a lot of, sounds got to break things, because they got the dub plate. It wasn't the 45s they got the 45s, but they had to go to the dub plate and press it and cut it off.
Right.
And then transfer it onto dub plate and play it. And when I took that Bug Rhythm back here to Canada, nobody would jumping up and stuff like that for it.
It was too fresh.
Too fresh. Too new. And then 6 months later down the road, everybody's going crazy. And I'm saying, but I played that 4 or 5 months ago. So I learned of the time length of how we were behind in time.
Right.
And therefore, I always structured myself to try to make sure Canada maintains on a level at the radio station that we're always up to date with music.
Always on top.
So hence, always on top.
Yeah.
And hence, going into 2016, I was playing a girl named Coffee that nobody knew about.
Before Coca T Busser.
Way before Coca T. But, I'm telling you, she's going to bust. She's going to bust. And I got into this mode of playing artists and bringing them and saying, they're going to bust, because I knew by my travels from back then, like 18, 19 years ago, we were 3 months behind schedule. So I always had to keep Canada up to par. And now it's of course, it's a lot easier. And sometimes you sneak in one or a few, you know what I mean? But still, at the time, 4 or 5 years ago, it was still up to the point where I was keeping them in advance when I was on the radio.
Wow, that was amazing. So did you make it sort of a religious habit per se, making your way down to Jamaica on a frequent basis to make sure that you got everything? Were there things like distributions that you got links with? And
100. Back then, what I think, I'm not sure if some people may say it's wrong, but I never did. I like to be in the streets with the artists. So my main goal was to feature on linking and connecting with the artists.
Right.
So I bypassed going to producers and management and stuff like that because I was always linked with the artists. And I think I only messed up on one, really, to a level. Not that big of a mess up, but it's because of the Canadian kicked in.
Okay.
And I was hanging with this gentleman, and we used to hang at this one studio. And I'm not gonna lie, sometimes he'd run a couple dub plays because he wasn't big yet. I'm talking like we would walk. He and I would walk up the road, jump into a taxi and go down the road. And, you know, when we were in the studio, we used to sit down and we used to just reason day in, day out. If he tells no lie and he remembers, we used to just reason. I came back to Canada and I said, yo, he's going to be wicked still, but I can't to understand him. And then you had a group, I don't know if you remember, a group named Ghetto Concept.
Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah.
So before all of this, here's an exclusive for you. Before all of these hip hop and reggae collaborations, I came back to Canada, and Quadro and I, we sat down and I said, Quadro, we got to get some links with Jamaica. And he's like, all right, yo, B, tell me who's going to bust. I said, all right, cool. We said some names. Then I said, okay. He said, you know what? Wiz, go to Jamaica and let's see these. Them times I had a reel, you know, the movie?
Yeah.
The movie?
The audio reel?
So
the audio reels?
The audio reels, right?
Okay. Hold on. Stick a pin on that one there.
Okay.
Stick a pin.
Right.
One of these, right?
There you go. You know exactly where your foundation yourself.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So I carried those reels with some rhythms.
Right.
And, you know, my brethren, Palma, Adija, we linked and I was like, yo, let's go voice this thing. And he said, all right. So Cartel and I went to Jammies and we voiced for Ghetto Concept, which was his first ever cross-Atlantic collaboration. I got Baby Wayne, Lukey D, Zoom J, Ninja Man.
Wow.
And we all voiced. And Quadro has the reel, and we've been sitting on it ever since.
Really? So these were like collaborations and combination tunes and stuff like that?
With the Ghetto Concept laid out their parts, they sent me down. I went, and when Vibes Cartel and I went to Jammies, and he voiced his thing. He voiced it for the first ever, which I have here. I don't know if you can hear it if I play it, but it was, you know, it was a Cartel that was when Cartel was super black. He was black. You see what I'm saying? I never forget what he wore that day. He wore a cut-off jeans, simple white T-shirt. I think he had some Adidas or Puma, you know, those slip-on kind of shoes, little things, and sunglasses. And we went to Jammies. Nobody really knew of him, right?
Yeah, those days, yeah.
But Portmore knew of him. He was that good.
Oh yeah.
So Portmore knew of him. But we were just so cool, like, and I didn't even think he's going to be, if not one of the greatest lyricists today, because when he said, yo, Wiz, you know what, dub? I said, yo, Adi, I'm cool right now, man. The problem is, I couldn't understand him.
Right. He had his own little dialects going on there, you know what I mean?
The way his lyric flew, I couldn't understand him.
Yeah, he definitely had his own style for sure. You know? So
it's you know, a weight that I dropped on my foot, let's say. But you know, I still, you know, when he was out and I went down, I linked him and stuff like that. We hail and we cut and go through. But the man is absolutely fabulous. He's absolutely great. but you know, those are the things that I wanted to venture into, was more of being in the streets than behind the board and behind the thing. And that's what the traveling back and forth taught me, how to maintain in the streets and watch artists and how they move and get connection with them and stuff like that. But yeah,
wow.
I mean, that was more of what it was still.
You hear that, folks? DJ WIZ, everybody. DJ WIZ was out there in the beginning stages of Mr. DJ Palmer, Vibes Cartel, the beginning stages of many artists, you know, and a lot of people don't know how many things you've done behind the scenes, and that's incredible, man.
Yeah. I mean, self-praise is no recommendation, and I was never one to be, let's say, bossy or hype about it.
Just steady grinding.
I always think, you always think your blessings come from up above. Sure. So I'm okay with that. What hurt me is that there's a lot of things that I tried to do in Canada that a lot of people that I tried to do them for tried to stop me from doing what I wanted to do.
Right.
And which is play music or play sound or just be involved. And I wasn't really, you know, to my blame, I wasn't really the friendly person type, right? My circle was really, really very, very small. I mean, I'm from Jane and Finch, so ignorance is you know.
Yes, right. Shout out to San Romanos. Shout out to Driftwood.
Tomamori. You know what I mean? We defend our ends with pride. You see what
Absolutely.
I'm saying? And
West all the time, man.
Like so, but me myself, I guess, you know, being young and, you know, hungry in the game, I say, you know, I guess my ignorance was a lot when I look back, maybe a little bit, but at the same time, I think what I was fighting for was worth fighting for, of my own independence.
Well, that's what I wanted to. That's what I wanted to say to you, because you know sometimes it is those same natures that kind of I don't know how to say this in the right way. But it's more of a feeling, because you know when you have if you have ignorance that drives you to do something, if you know what I'm trying to say to you, sort of ignorance that you needed to have. In a little bit of arrogance in there as well that you needed to have that brought you to a certain place to this day. Do you think that's what sort of result in that in where DJ WIZ is today?
I think so. I mean, I've always been a man of my own way. Everything, and I've realized that whatever I do, I have to accept the consequences as well. The fact is that people will give you more negative comments than more positive comments.
True.
There's some interviews that I've had where I've literally had to, when I listen to the person speak, I literally sit back and try to maybe hold back tears and understand the fact that if somebody as a great of a selector or artist that I talk to was around me when I was younger and guided me,
right,
maybe I would have been bigger than I am at this point in time.
Right.
But I mean, everything happens for a reason. But you know, it's just that. I mean, I hear, you know, Mataran and Fire Links and all them talking about, you know, when they went solo and stuff like that. And truth be told, I did it before them.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
But you know, and we've been doing it, but we never got the notoriety that they have.
Absolutely,
and, you know, but at the same time, can I be mad at that? Nah, I'm not mad at that. I'm not, these guys are great selectors. These guys are tremendous for when they took their era and what it went through. And I grew up with them, though, even as a fan. Right? Even as a fan. So the respect I have for them is unlimited. Like I talk to Fire Links every other day, right? True, if I call, he answers, "Wiz, wagwan, where I deal with?" Foot and high. You know, I talk to everybody now on a level. And these are selectors you hear about doing big things. But, you know, when I was clashing and doing those things, remember, my ignorance led me to all, like, fight with Jaro, physically, in England.
But that's what I'm
You see
saying.
what I'm
I
saying?
sometimes feel like you need that flame in you, man. To you know what I mean? To go right into it. And I feel like you're one of the few that did that. You needed that flame in you to push on through.
The hunger in me was, you can't tell me what to do.
Right.
Especially if you're not leading me. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You're in the same boat as me. So who are you to tell me what to do? And then if you tell me what to do, I'm going to take it in for the first 5 minutes. If I see positive, all right, maybe me and can hold our reason. But if I see negative, or if I see I don't trust you right away, I'm like, I'll give you 5 minutes, bro, and that's it. I'm out.
Yeah.
Like, I'm doing what I want to do, and I'm suffering those consequences. You see what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, I got to put food on my table. And if you're not putting it on my table like that, then how can me and you part? You see what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
We're not in the same league, so you can't pressure me like that. And I won't be pressured like that. And I won't be oppressed like that. Right? So I guess that was a form of thing. And I found a lot of, how could I say, a lot of standards I had. And I believe that loyalty was one of those standards. Loyalty and respect was one of those standards. I played a couple different sounds, like I said.
That was just what I was going to ask you. Which sound systems did you work on?
Like, listen, man, I jumped until at least 3 or 4. I mean, from when it started off with high tech, because that's where it started off. High tech was the sound. When it started off with high tech, I mean, I took some disrespect on high tech that not even the boss, who's the old man, didn't know.
Oh, okay.
Right? And it was from selected. Like, I'm talking like I want to talk to Mike, and they're pushing me away. Right?
Right.
I even into physical altercation when the boss wasn't looking, because, I'm a prodigy of the boss, of the owner.
Right.
And, he didn't know. I took the thump in my face like a man from the selectors. And I just said, yo, I'm out. And I'm not going to talk to this guy again. Because that's how it is. He was a big man. I'm a young youth. But that's the sound that I love. That's the sound that, if I'm to replay a sound, and if I could bring back a sound, it's high tech.
High tech. Yeah. I remember high tech, especially in the early 90s,
Yeah, with the big bumper end, the truck, bumper
end. They were a good sound, man.
Trust me. So the old man, the boss, would defend me down to his life. He'll defend me, right? But I thought it was a man with the 1 or 2 selectors that were there that were, they knew they ran high tech, and they knew how high tech was, and they were powerful. Then there was the Eclipse, which helped start Rodeo Promo's career.
Another fun fact of the day, folks. Wow.
Yeah, Rodeo's first dance was with, Eclipse Sound, with me and Mikey, up in Rexdale.
Right.
2636 Kipling. Then there was Syndicate.
Oh, wow. That was a wicked sound. I'm very familiar with Syndicate as well.
So
yes.
We moved. Syndicate went from, just Driftwood to Tobermory, or Tobermory to Palisades, to Scarborough, to Malton, Brampton. We moved it. San, Ice Pick, and myself. So San was the mixer. Ice Pick selected the records, and I did all the talking. Because in all reality, I don't like selecting and mixing. I just like to MC. That's all I want to do. You
definitely love the crowd interaction and the energy exchange between you and the crowds.
Yeah. From I went to House of Leo, I think it was 89 or something like that, and I heard Rory, right, Stone Love and stuff like that. But then a couple years later, I heard a cassette, and this man became my idol, and it was like wicked, and it was Ian from Roadstar.
Oh, right? Really? Wow.
It was Ian from Roadstar. He was just smooth to me. It was the way he talked was calm, cool, but he hit points, and he was just smooth. And it was it. So there was Eclipse, Syndicate. Well, first it was High Tech, and then the big one, the big move, I think, was Love Child.
Oh yeah.
So
yeah.
So with Love Child now,
Love Child movements.
So Gary, he was the MC. So I had to turn into the selector now. So in Love Child, I ended up selecting and mixing everything I didn't want to do, but I had to learn to do.
Yeah.
But it worked out because Gary had enough confidence into whatever he called for. I knew the record box. I knew where to pick out. I knew where to get. And it was after maybe 2-3 months, it was, I'm putting on this. And then he'll show up, and whatever I put on, he's going to bust a dance with.
Wow.
So he became to trust me to just select the sound. So when everybody was giving accolades to, Gary Love Child is wicked, Gary Love Child is wicked, good. Boy, poor me is sweating on what can I play next? What this? What that? What this? And I'm putting the let's say the bullets in the machine, and he's firing them. You know what I mean? So at the same time, I was quite happy because we were comfortable. We were a duo that was magnetic. And I think it's one of the last set of sounds that actually moved the territory. And when I mean move the territory, I mean from Village. You had people from Village respect the sound, right? Caledonia era, Eglinton. Yeah. And everybody where Love Child moved, all of a sudden Scarborough trying to gravitate to Love Child. Brampton. I remember a night I had to play at a party, go there early because of course I was the warm-up, kingpin.
Right.
For then Gary would come. And I played the dance, and then Gary would say, okay, I'm reaching the dance about 12:30. So by 10 o'clock, you head to Brampton, play at this one dance, collect, and then head over here and play at this next dance, and meet me back by 1 o'clock at this dance. So that's how it was being done. Because so everybody was making dance at like 9:30 them times, right? So it wasn't like now where your selectors are showing up at 2 o'clock. Them time the dance is like, it's either ram, them time there, or, dance flop.
Yeah, there's nothing.
By them time.
Yeah.
There's nothing. So it was do or die at those times. But yeah, so, I mean, about 4 different sounds that I played going through the history and looking back and thinking and saying, Jano, to where it was at one point. Yeah, I just decided at one point, I think, it wasn't Love Child, but I think Syndicate started murmuring in my mind where we used to make money, but we used to spend on dubs, but then I wasn't benefiting myself.
Right, you're benefiting from the sound, the man from the sound, that own the sound.
The man, the man them who own the sound. So then, what happened was there was a dance that got raided and they held on to Gary and he was deported. And that was the downfall of Love Child.
I did not know that, actually.
So,
wow.
Yeah. So after that, it was, where do I go from here? I had Love Child brewing, but when people are accustomed to something and you can't blame them, no matter how much they love it, if they're accustomed to this. So if they say, analog sound, and they want you as a selector and nobody else. Doesn't matter how good the sound is. As if the selector is not there, Gary's presence wasn't there, it wasn't the same effect.
Absolutely.
And
it was like,
I understood that.
Yeah. And going back to your theory with Stone Love, it's like with Rory at the time, right?
It's hard. It's very hard. It's very hard. Although Stone Love can do it, but it's still, it leads all back to Rory, no matter what happens.
Yeah, well.
So I understood that. So I just decided to do DJ WIZ. I just decided to do WIZ.
And that's leading up to the next part I was going to say was the amount of resources you now collected from all the years of being a part of sound systems, going back and forth to Jamaica and other places like England and so forth, where it's very resourceful with artists and sound systems as well. Now you decided to apply this into radio for yourself. So let's go to that part now and going forward.
Okay, so I'm here playing a lot of and running around in the city and playing downtown first with Ebony Sound Crew, Notorious Carlos, Grand Crew, everybody. So I'm the reggae for the city in the entertainment district. So Juice Man, Jonathan Shaw, I have no recollection of how I met this man. But I just know it was Juice that brought me on CHRY first. He had the Joyride show that was on at 1 o'clock in the morning. It went from 1 till about 5. And I'm trying to, I got to get back to you on us meeting. I think it was just some friends that introduced me. And I played at a dance with him. I believe that's where it was. And he didn't play out too regular. He never played out too regular. So the one opportunities. He was known for his mixtapes, right? That's what he was known for, the mixtapes? Yeah, he was a mixer. Right? He's a mixer. So he invited me to come play at the station in the night. And the way the station was set up, it's not like it was now because it turned into Vibe. Right. But the turntables were on one side, and you had to go around to the next room and talk on the microphone on the next side, right? So when we were there, I mean, I went there once and I enjoyed it. And I played on the thing, and he said, you got to play the hits and stuff like that. So we vibed, and I also had to make sure the radio edit stuff was there. Right. Back then, it was very difficult for the 45s. Like were coming out, some of them weren't edited and stuff. So you have to make sure you pulled it down, right? So we were there and we did our thing. And, I went back and I liked it and I enjoyed it. It was 2 o'clock in the morning, but we were getting phone calls because what was so special was he never touched reggae. He did the R&B and the hip hop. That's right. And I did the full reggae. So he enjoyed it. We started saying, he said, all right, come back. Until a month later, it was just Juice and Wiz. And then, so the promo was on now. So, we'd make flyers, the Joyride show, get it out there. We'd advocate. But what happened now, here's where the difference came in. In the night, I started MCing. Right. So he'd be playing and I'd be like, drop it one time, Juice. 1, 2, 3, 4. Here we go. Come on. Boom, boom. And we turned it into a club. Although it's just the two of us, right?
The vibes got you up. The vibes got you up there, yeah.
So, and then I started talking on MCing on hip hop and R&B and stuff. And I was like, Juice, we need to take this on the road. We got to get out. And he's like, yo, I don't really play out. And I'm telling you, Juice never really played out like that. Like Jonathan Shaw never really played out like that. And so I said, nah, man, we got to get out. We got to get out. And then somebody hired us for a gig and the flyers would say like Wiz and the Joyride show. So because I wanted to implement that a lot. And then Juice, we got on a gig downtown. I'm not sure. I don't think it was Carlos. Can't really remember, to be honest with you, so long ago. But we got on a gig downtown and I mean, we went off. Like, we blew it out of the park. Right. So then we said, all right. Juice said, all right. Finally, he said, yo, he's ready. Like, he feels comfortable. Because Juice is he's a shy guy. Big man, shy guy. I don't know how he is now. I haven't talked to him in a year or so. But he's a shy guy. But, he got out and, the girls were bumping and everything was right, bro. So we decided to keep something at Captain John's. Right. Right? No, lie. Our first place that Juice kept something was upstairs on Bay Street, around the corner. I don't remember the club. It was around the corner from the bus station, the bus terminal. Oh, okay. Right there, Bay, around the corner from there. Okay, yeah. It was upstairs. Yeah, and it was like remember, I'm like thuggy roots dancehall, but now you have to dress up because Juice wants this elite kind of dressing, right?
Right.
And stuff like that. So I had to adapt there, like, get a dress shirt and get a dress pants, and I'm not used to it. But
next week you follow it in a 3-piece suit, eh?
Let me just tell you, the women, them that came out to club, my goodness, wow. So from there, it was go. We got to get it. We got to get the spot, Juice. We got to deal with this club stuff. And so Juice ended up getting a contract on Captain John's.
Wow.
So we used to, but that was on the boat, but it never left. So that was the boat that was there, and it was there, and people were there, and it was like, we hung with, Quincy and Juice and Ebony Sound Crew and TKO and stuff like, and the places just getting packed, and our show was just getting greater and bigger, and everything was good until the new radio station came, and then Juice decided to go his way. Did he stay in radio, or did he move to? Juice? Yeah. No, he stayed in radio. He's still in radio to this day. He loves it. But when that station, I'm not giving them no notoriety. That's why I'm not calling the station. But you know. Sure. Yeah. Right? Yeah. Well, I mean, when it came out, it was the talk of the town because they hired everybody. Right. A lot of African Canadians, they hired everybody until they fired them. So you must know where I'm going with that. Yeah, right? Definitely know. So when that station came out, Juice left. And because my name was not on anything affiliated like with CHRY, Juice was, it was kind of his show. He brought me in kind of thing. So that's how I ended up easing off of the station for a little bit until I went back with Richard Banton. Right. And that was a good couple years run. And then again, of course, well, I tell you, if you have hours for this interview, I don't want to get into deep with stuff because I don't know how long you have. But
you know what, it's all good, man. As long as we get to know like that whole aspect of how the radio had really solidified WIZ, in the modern times, right?
What happened was when I was on that show, I started getting a claim to fame as well because, he'd allow me to voice a lot. So I started going back to the roots, back to Jamaica now. So now here I kick in now. I'm on radio. I have a lot of more power now to advance the artistdom that I'm linking and meeting with and talking. So you see how it all comes full circle now.
That's right, yeah.
So now I'm getting everybody linkage now, and I'm thinking, and I can get your song played, and did a good job of reaching out to elevate, a lot of artists. Now, then, incident happened, and I didn't take a liking to it. So I said, okay, I'm going to go my own way on this radio because I love radio now. So what I used to do was go in the station from 1 o'clock in the morning. There'll be nobody at the station.
Right.
So everything was always pre-logged. So I used to go into the station at 1 o'clock in the morning and play till 7 when the next show. So, and that was like every Friday night, every Thursday night leading to Friday morning. Yeah. I would go and I'd play 1 o'clock till 7, 6 hours straight on the radio, week to week, all by myself.
Must be a good meditation time.
Yeah. Yeah, well, when you first have to get your body used to it, because enough times I fell asleep on the turntable, waking up to record skipping. No joke. I got the call and said, "Yo, the record." It's crazy, bro. But then Dane Danae, she is a woman who knows her stuff. Danae is a woman so she was the program director of CHRY. When everything went down, she took me aside and said, listen, if you maintain your level, because there's no show that misses Danae. None.
Yeah.
And I guess she just saw the hunger in me. She just saw the hunger, because now from the selecting, I have that same hunger to release through the radio.
Right.
Because now the radio, at that point, the radio was very powerful, and you knew you had to be amongst that, right?
Right.
So Danae saw me and she was like, yo, know what? I have something for you, but it's going to be sometime in the late night. And if you want it, you can maintain it. So it was 1 o'clock in the morning. That was a slot because everybody had their slot.
Right.
So for a year, I had to do 1 o'clock in the morning.
Oh.
And after 1 o'clock, pretty much I would stay there. Then a lady on Friday morning, used to be Friday morning, was named Jay Nice. She wanted me to come on her show. So I didn't have to talk or anything. I could just mix and select. It happened because she came in one day and I don't know what happened to her records, but something had happened to her records and she came in early and we discussed it. I said, okay, I'll stay. So remember, I'm there from like 1 in the morning. Her show's 7 to 10. So I'm there playing music all over again.
Right.
Until I got linked with her. So then I could come to the radio station a little early. I'd come at like 3 or 4 in the morning or 5 in the morning and start playing, and then she would come in. So I'd move to 7 to 10. So ma'am, now I'm going, instead of 1 to 10, I'm cutting down to 5 to 10. So I'm getting a little better. So after that now, but that was the love that I had for it.
Absolutely. I commend you for that, actually. Those late night runs, man. Jeez.
I'm telling you. But it was a chance for me to exercise my skills, exercise, knowing the songs and letting them play and stuff like that. It wasn't even as good as it is now, but it was a great start for me.
Did you feel you mastered your craft? While you were doing these you've already done that already.
Well, no, you know what? To be honest with you, to what I know now, to what I understand now, I know the difference between club DJing and radio DJ. Now, I don't think I adhered to any of those things before. I was really rough with a little fine polishing ends that could have been given to me, but at the same time, there's a lot that I had to learn.
Well, for our listeners, would you like to really quickly give us a little differentiation between the two?
So, a radio disc jockey is a person that has to take time with their music, as far as I'm concerned, and understand their geographics of who they're speaking to with their music and how they're playing their music. When you're in a club, you get to see the people in front of you. You get to understand, okay, I could play this and I could play that. And this won't be, this will get me a forward and this won't.
Right.
A radio disc jockey, you have to play music and just understand that people are listening to it, but you're not going to get no forward. You're not going to get no, show of appreciation out there. Sometimes they'll call and say, pull up the tune, but that's not radio. You can't just wheel and pull up and stuff like that.
Right.
I mean, some stations do, but if you listen to the big stations and how they do it and how they work, and it's a song of just flowing and let it flow. So you have to have patience when you're a radio disc jockey, because you want to bring in this next song on this next rhythm and you want to bust the place. But you need to let it play so people could hear the song. And I think that's what maybe some of the elders in dancehall, they're now upset about, because you play 15 seconds of a song, bam,
Right.
It's a next song. Bam! It's a next song. And to them, us as selectors, that's called vibes, right? So basically, you know, being a radio disc jockey is all about patience, and being a selector is you have to have full of vibes. You have to be really overextended of vibes in the dance, because radio, they can't see you. So you could be sad, you could be happy, you could be whatever, but your music just has to flow.
Right.
But in the dance, they're looking at you to bring forth that vibes. That's why I have to give a big shout out to like Steenie and Newbie and, you know, those selectors that bring vibes. Like
they really bring up the energy in the places. Yeah, shout out to the whole Steenie and all those guys. Blacks,
they,
you know.
They bring vibes.
Yeah,
Blacks done the place. There's a whole bunch. Like we can name them over and over. You know what I mean?
All right.
But that was it.
So I wanted to now ask you the current situation of DJ WIZ, and that is the rise of many outstanding videos that you've been doing, interviews that you have been accomplishing in the last couple months, I guess we could say now, being that we're in the whole COVID transition. Yeah, that's crazy. And you're just constantly working, man. It's very impressive. I think the world is really, really taking in a lot of information that they didn't even know, including myself, with many sound systems and selectors and artists. How are you doing it, man? And where do you find the time?
Let me just tell you quickly, man. Like I say, you have to give a shout out to Dane, then my wife. She's like behind the scenes doing stuff. When I first started, it was literally by accident. How it happened. My thing about what I wanted with this was to hear some completions, to hear some stories that we always heard about, but we never heard the ending. And one of the biggest things for me was the main purpose of 1995 with King Addies and Kilimanjaro.
Oh yeah.
To me, it was a dance that was never done. It was. I'm like, why don't I feel satisfied with this dance? Like, you know, I'm listening to it and I'm wondering. So I linked.
You're referencing to how it prematurely ended, the speaker box.
Ended. Yeah, and I wanted to know the truth.
Yeah.
I wanted to know what really happened.
Yeah.
So surprise, I don't know how I linked sorry about that. How I linked Trooper. No, was it Matron first? I think it was Trooper first, you know. And then when I linked him, he was like, cool, no problem. Everything was fine. I gotta find out the fact that I can't remember right now if I linked Trooper and Matron first. And when the story dropped, and I said, okay, I didn't know how to do anything. We didn't know how to screen record. We didn't know how to save anything. We didn't know.
When you say the story, are you talking about like who lock off who, or the?
Yeah, hold on.
Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we got you loud and clear. Yeah.
Okay. For some reason, you're low for me.
Oh,
we'll make it work.
All right.
No, it's probably not you. It's probably my phone. No, well, when I first linked them, the date wasn't set yet. So I said, okay, let me see who I could talk to. And DJ Sparks was the first one who answered, because in my whole mind, I'm just thinking about the selectors.
Right.
But they weren't ready as yet. Trooper wasn't ready as yet. Matron wasn't ready. He didn't link me back as yet. So I interviewed and talked to Sparky's, ZJ Sparks. You know ZJ Sparks?
Yes, absolutely, yeah.
She is absolutely brilliant. I'm hurt that I lost that one because I didn't know anything about recording. I was just having fun. Maka Diamond, until Renee 630 really came in. Maka Diamond, I see the problems with it. And then I said, okay. I was like, you know what? I could get this now and record this and keep it for my own personal kind of documentary.
Right.
So everything was about it was pretty personal for me. It was like, it wasn't meant to be on a YouTube or anything like that. It was meant to be
the WIZ collections.
I got it and say, yo, yeah, my whole possessions. But so Trooper answered first.
Right.
And then Trooper just went off. The reason being is because the history started coming back to him.
Right.
And the moment started coming back to him.
That was about 2 months ago, correct? 2-3 months ago?
Yeah.
Yeah, I did see that
3
one.
3 months ago.
Yeah. That was heated,
so
man.
You got to watch that one. That one sets it off.
Yeah.
Right? Then it was like when he told the story and he didn't hold back anything. Like he just felt like, that maybe the world's going to end tomorrow. I don't know. So I'm just letting it all out right now. And I'm telling you, bro, he said some things. And when I dropped it, because I'd figured out to put on YouTube, boom, Mataran. But the problem is, Mataran was already set.
Right.
To say his things. So I don't think Mataran answered Trooper on the first go-around. He didn't answer Trooper because at that point I didn't post it or anything as yet. So, but when I taught Trooper, because I had to teach Trooper how to go on Instagram and stuff like that. So I taught Ricky Trooper how to do it and stuff like that. And when he learned it, he listened in on the Mataran. And it was all go from there, bro. When Mataran and Trooper, it was like 1995 all over again.
Wow.
So the world embraced it because it was such a historic moment for Sound Clash fans, for King Addies, and for Jaro. The world took on to it.
Right.
Brothers, I don't know. I woke up in the morning with my phone going off the hook. And
pure notification.
It was like, I was like, Jano, what happened? And the people them said, yo, this person has it on their YouTube page, and that person has it, and this person has it, and that person. It was gone. And what people don't know is I had already been DMing people. Right. Because from the radio station, remember, I'm at a radio station where I always ask for interviews. So interview is nothing to me. What I wanted was conversations now, because of course we have this and it's a lot longer. And I never wanted to ask the same, questions, like, okay, well, Ricky, how long have you been a selector? And Ricky, basically, what was this and what? I wanted to hear the behind the scenes stuff.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? I wanted to hear the things that we do not hear every day.
Yeah, because probably 90% of the people knew about Trooper anyway, right? So get right to the meat and potatoes.
You see what I'm saying? If you know Trooper, you know he bust from Jaro, you know he's Ricky Trooper, he bust this song, he's a serial killer, blah, 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 blah. But when Trooper started talking and telling us the different aspects, we reached to a point where, we got to, it was Trooper that stopped the Gaza Gully War. How big was that war?
Oh, that was
and
massive,
it was on Wizology show that everything was released and let out. I'm sure they've done countless interviews after that, but it will never, ever be the same as those interviews. It's like this one now.
Because you triggered that first initial emotion from
you see what
a long time ago. Yeah, absolutely.
So it would never be the same. I don't think it would be, because every emotion, and it was real.
Right.
It was authentic. I mean, you see Trooper nearly break down.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Trooper nearly break down. Fire links. Tears, because of how hard they had to go through the hardness and the fights. The things that you and we don't know.
We saw that with Winterfresh too. I never, I didn't know it was that deep with him too, That was crazy. Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
100. And and then you got into, so I just kept on, 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 and I'm still going. I mean, even when I hang up from you, I have about an hour before I have to,
right,
do another one.
And you had Rory the other day too. It's insane,
3 weeks. 3 weeks. I've been texting Rory back and forth, and we've been, okay, I soon do it. We were actually scheduled the week before Versus.
Right.
We were actually scheduled. And I called and he said, boy, Wiz, I'm going from country to town, very busy. I didn't know what he was, but what it was they were setting up for the Versus.
Right.
So that's why I had to wait till after finally things calmed down just a slight little bit.
Right.
And then Rory, came on the air and stuff. It's Wizology show is just been,
it's been blowing up
conversation,
and it's been blowing up.
I give God thanks.
As a person that's seeing it from the outside, I really enjoy it. I see a lot of other people who's calling me and saying to me, "Yeah, did you watch DJ WIZ's interview?" Like if I didn't catch it, one of my peeps has caught it, and they're calling me up and telling me, "Did you hear about this?" So. I thought it was like, wow, you got amplified yourself times 100. And I thought that was amazing that, here you are out of Canada, and the amount of resources that you've built up over the years, you've definitely put it to use and in astronomical ways. And I think that's amazing. So what I want to know is with what you have now and we're going, we're transitioning back to everybody getting back to their normal things, radio station, whatnot. Do you plan to have any sort of exclusive programming for this sort of thing in general?
Yeah. Apparently everybody says I'm not allowed to stop. Stop Wizology show.
I don't think so, man. You got yourself in this, man.
Yeah. So, what I've tried to do now was transfer the platform, because of its notoriety, into how I could angle it to help other people, because just having DJ WIZ and Wizology is not good enough.
Mm-hmm.
I'm now talking to politicians. So I've talked to the leader of the opposition.
I did see that. The MPs at NDP, I believe it was. Yeah.
MPP, and Andrew Horvath is the leader of the opposition.
Right.
Michael Couture, Sharon Cunningham, Jill Andrews. So my next step is probably the leader of the Liberal leader.
Wow.
Maybe one day Justin Trudeau. Maybe.
Hey, the flag behind you is calling him right now. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I'm not leaving the flag.
Yeah.
But also now, because I've done artists where a lot of people have heard about, but they've never seen. And that's the thing that brings this whole Wizology show together. Mm-hmm. It's because people can now see some of their idols, like Rory. You know what I mean? When Beanie Man came on, like, that was shocking for Beanie to even accept, right? Even though, we know him from Jane and Finch, but at the same time, people are now viewing and seeing who people have been talking about and raving about. And some fantastic things have been said. I mean, when you talk to Father Keith from Bass Odyssey, that's like talking, you're talking about people's hero of Stingy.
Right.
You know what I mean?
That's right.
So Father Keith is one of the most legitimate persons that could even vouch for anything that Squingy did, because he's the boss of Bass Odyssey.
Right. He can talk
so
about
whatever he says should go. Right.
I think that's really good that you pointed that out. Especially a lot of the owners of sound systems. A lot of them are behind the scenes and they don't really get too much credibility. But that's great that you did mention that. And of course, Squingy, rest in peace, made a big impact in the industry. Now, with you doing many of these interviews and so forth, and you've contacted many of the selectors and the sound systems and whatnot, does this also help out with bigger ventures when it comes to like we're talking radio, but let's say actual video types of related professional video interviews. Like, I mean, in a studio type of thing. And
I think so, because what happened was I turned the platform into a professional platform rather than just the gossip. There's people that could have came on here and said, "Oh, me can't answer that Monday because I was there at this time, and me can't answer that Monday because I was there." But that's the only moment that you have, which inflames just an answering of, mix up and blend, which is not what the platform was for. It's for to elevate a lot of people, to elevate the culture, where you are now seeing and listening to some of the stars you only heard about on cassette or CD or however you know what I mean?
Right.
And I'm fortunate. Like, I mean, listen, I reached out to Radigan many times, no response. Maybe he's just too busy, right? But what I can do for the platform, it made me venture into where I'm like, okay, is this something I could go, can this ugly guy be on like TV? Maybe, possibly. I've done I've done a comedy show with some friends, Ray and Nephew comedy.
Sure.
But this is something that I've told to a man who controls a TV station. This idea, I brought it to him and they shot me down. Right. And now look at it, where it could have been on a bigger level behind green screen and bigger ventures. And now look at it. I mean, do I want to venture into TV land and stuff? Yeah, maybe. Wizology show, I don't see it as stopping anytime soon. It's something that I love. I think what I learned to do now is space out some of the interviews, and also I kind of, it's no disrespect to anybody, but the platform is based on a level of, I could count on some factual facts from you that happened.
That's what I was just going to say.
Your name was calling.
That's what I was just going to say. Folks, when you guys, if anybody has watched the Wizology show in the recent times, and since it all started, I guess, basically, you probably noticed that every question that DJ WIZ has asked were based on actual events. They weren't just like, did you, it wasn't nothing that was up in the air. If you actually listen to his questions, these were actually things that happened, and they were actual events that did partake, and they were just brought up so that it could be clarified. So that, I think that's impressive, because you did not only your homework, but you were probably there for some of these situations.
I was,
and
so Trooper, and maybe who I'm going to interview today is one of the only ones that I've never engaged in within a dance, of played alongside in a dance. But I know of.
Right.
And we've talked and we've discussed before.
Right.
Not at great levels to where they know me now, but a level enough for me to call you and reason with you and hold a conversation. I've always, so these are people that are coming from my past that I've, had interaction with, or growing up watching them.
Wow.
Maintain the scene. Carry the flag. Listen, you have to pay respect to not only your elders, but to your peers around you.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
You see what I'm saying? And like I said, you see how I tell you how when I started out, what was my first thing was respect and loyalty. I've always lived by that, right? I've always been that loyal person, even when I'm being taken advantage of. And I know that, but my love for this music made me take so much disrespect and abuse that I just kept going to where I am here today. I still have the radio show. I'm still on Vibe. Like, I have my own show. The first, that's gone. I have 3 shows prime time, Thursday, Friday, I have Wizology show. I work 9 to 5. You know, my son's in university. Bills have to be paid. You know, and I'm still doing it. And sometimes I could take a nature walk. You see what I'm saying? So it is difficult, and it is hard to maintain. And it's also one of my biggest factors is maintaining the right kind of person to have a conversation with. Right. Just like yourself, you know, you ask something and people could either really look into themselves and understand, say, oh yeah, I could answer with a yes or no, or I could give you the details of how everything happened and how it progressed. And
or it could be, oh, what is man a chatbot, man? Dude. Exactly. What this man is talking about? See ya.
You see what I'm saying? Yeah. You know, trust me.
So in closing, I want to just say to you that I commend you, as well as many other people here in Canada and the world, for really providing us really good information connecting to the reggae culture, the dancehall culture, everything in the Caribbean culture, basically, and also everything in between. You know, I think that interviewing politicians and, you know, the baker, the famous baker in the corner street in downtown, is very important. And I really applaud you for what you're doing. And I think that it is great that we have somebody that really can take that to a higher level. And we thank you a lot.
Yeah. I appreciate you, man. I appreciate, and I thank you for the opportunity to be here and let out, you know, some of the story, man, because it sometimes, what they say, it's hard to take the bigger role, they said. Yeah. You know, it's hard to be the bigger person, because if I was to sit here and tell you some things, bro, you'd be in other, you know, but we'll keep that for a second edition.
Don't worry, that's how beer vibes down the road, is it?
You see what I'm saying? But respect to you for what you're doing. Also, you know, you're important as well. And I think that's what the basis of Wizology show is, that every single person is important. This is why I have the new artist segment now, where it's pretty much an artist that you've never heard of in your entire life, but they see the platform as a way to, you know, be out and get out. So why not give it to them? I have a new selector segment coming up now within probably next week. I'll be talking to Champion Squad and Introtech, selectors you probably never heard of, but they're young, right? So you need to find out from them what motivated them from the past. But we don't want to hear about, you know, oh, well, I've been playing for 12 years now and I'm a big selector. No, you're not. We need to know where you're coming so you can know where you're going. Where you're going, yep. Agreed. And we've this. So it's just, I've built that platform to be, you know, I would say positive. I would say powerful enough that people respect it, that people want to be on it. Sure. Right. Yeah. And I'm proud. Like when I got the text from Morgan Heritage, and like, you know, somebody had given them my number, and I'm like, so this Morgan Heritage Grams went out to search for my phone number, text me and said, I have a new artist and I want him to premiere on your platform. And you don't say no to that. You see what I'm saying? You say yes right away.
Wizology got power.
Yeah, you know,
but that's what it is. I mean, I feel that when you come up with some amazing content that you're able to throw out to everywhere, you know, not just here in Canada, the age of internet, you know, you got some desolate place in the desert somewhere on the other side of the planet who's got Wi-Fi. They're like, who's DJ WIZ? Oh, DJ WIZ. You know? You're right.
I was shocked when I got a DM from Cyprus and some two people from Kenya. Right. I was like, Kenya? They were like, oh, I'm on your live and I'm watching you and I subscribe to your YouTube channel. You're amazing. And I'm like, I don't know what I've done, but Kenya?
My dude. Kenya? I'm telling you, it's even showing up on YouTube recommendations. I'm just showing you something. Oh, yeah? Right? Yeah.
Oh, you see?
Yeah.
I history this. I history that. You just told me something I don't even know.
It's showing up on the recommendations. Now, I mean, I'm going down to I would go forward down to my Bridging studio, and he's got the computer set up there. So we go on there. It's like, yo, you have to listen to this track. But as soon as he goes to YouTube.com, you'll see one of your interviews in the recommendations. It's crazy. It's crazy.
That's crazy.
So
it's a blessing, man. It's a blessing. It's a blessing. I mean, I just sat right here, and God just said, "This is it. This is what you do."
I'm telling you right now.
I
as soon as this goes up, right, there's gonna be an AI thing. It knows Wiz is always on the top, right? And it's gonna pick this thing out and just put it in a recommendation. I'm telling you,
man. No problem. It's just straight love and respect for everybody who's doing this. Listen, honestly, there are people that have probably done this before me. There are people that have, been doing this. They just didn't do it like how I did.
I think
that's
yes, absolutely, yes. And I think I know why. Let me tell you why I was very intrigued in like when some people do interviews, you go in like maybe 5 minutes and you're just like, it's boring or it's not going anywhere. No, let's be honest. I'll be honest. I'm not gonna lie. There's interviews that I watch and I'm trying to get through it. And I'm like, nah, I can't. But then there's yours, and I'll tell you why it's appealing to not just myself, but to everybody else that I know, because what you talk about is what everybody wants to know, what everybody wants to find out. You're not asking the same old things. Well, back in 1972, I had a truck full of 45 and going on about that. My Bridging Bunny and Lenny. We're not talking about
Real
that.
talk.
You go right into it, and everybody's got their eyes and ears glued to the screen, listening to what they, when you pull that off with Tropa, you pull that off with so many selectors, Mataran, whatnot. Yeah. I was like, oh my God, this is gonna go someplace, and
I honestly didn't think it was gonna reach where it reached. I had no clue. Like I said, bro, I had no idea about. I thought I could just keep it and save it and put it in the archives and say, yeah, man. I never had any idea about this, and with great power became great responsibility.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And instead of just turning it into, listen, I have some people who I talk to now who, when they're debating about coming on the show because they could destroy so much life.
I think you've already been through some of those aspects already.
You see what I'm saying? Yeah. And they're debating, and I'm like, oh God. And as the journalist, you want to hear the juicy story and the gossip and the mix-up. But I didn't want that. What I wanted was the reality. If it led to gossip or mix-up, it wasn't gossip. It was the reality of what was said. Mm-hmm. The whole time I thought it was, champions in action down at Dudos where, Movado and Cartel met. That's what the world saw.
Right.
Until Wizology show, when Trooper led out the story and he told you time, dates, hours, what happened, how it happened. Wow. This is how it happened. So it's authentic.
Right.
It's the real deal.
I think that's what catapults a lot of other ideas. Like, let's say, because of this interview that you have with like, say, Ricky Trooper, for example, a filmmaker could probably use your credible interview and
exactly
create something like a biopic or something of Chopar, Jar or something. You know what I mean?
Well, the authenticity of them, the Trooper and the Mataran and them things is that now it can be a real live documented history, like for National Geographic.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking that big. It could go that big because reggae is that big.
That's right.
So there's no reason why these men can't be documented in an era that they dominated. Panther, Black Cat, likewise. right? Remember, and the weirdest thing is Lynx, Panther, and Trooper. I had to I literally had to tell them word for word how to press this button, how to load, how to, get out Instagram. Because they're not that. They're in the streets, people. It's not that they're, they couldn't figure it out. But at the time of fast pacing, I mean, I had to talk to Fire Links for almost nearly doggone a month.
Just to get it right.
Fire Links was like, nah, Wiz, me not really in them thing there. I said, you need it. I said, okay, I wait. Same with Freddy Krueger. I wait till I link them back. And the thing is just getting so overwhelming. I'm like, brothers, you are that powerful in this business. You need to get your voice out. I mean, there's one or two that I really haven't gotten. One is being worked on as we speak right now, which I really, really want to get. That conversation will blow everybody's mind.
Mm-hmm.
But the ones that shape some worlds, like when you talk to a man like Foota Hype, you wouldn't know how powerful this man is.
Right.
And the story. I mean, Foota Hype came on the live and he was blocked by Instagram. So you couldn't see like how we're seeing.
Right.
And almost 4,000, 5,000 people stayed and listened to a man that they couldn't see. Bro,
wow,
that is incredible.
So
you see what I'm saying?
And he was able to get around it to get the whole message out there. I know Foota goes on quite often.
You see what I'm saying? The conversation, and it wasn't the regular. And when it was done, I'm sure 3,000 of those people looked at Foota Hype totally different, because the platform isn't about to come on and say who's the greatest of them all and McKill this guy and you have to have your facts and your story and your what part of greatness that you performed. Like Mataran is, great. All these guys, the dinosaurs, they're great. This is where the dinosaur was built. But you when you go to my YouTube and you hear the story of Deli Ranks, these things on the platform were built because they weren't built off pasa. They were built from the actual person going through, like I'm talking to you now.
That's right.
About how Wizology was built. And nobody else could tell you, even though they may be associated outside of it.
Right.
But nobody else could tell you that except if you were there or you were part of it or you had a connection. You see what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
And that's what Wizology is. So now it's just being branched off to where I'm kind of bringing on the new, like the radio element of me has kicked in when it comes to the new artist segment, right? Where I could talk to a new artist, I could kick the questions in, I could play their song. Also, the new selectors, I can know what it took to be a selector from back then till now, the traveling that I did and everything. So I can relate to a lot of things that they do and their questions. I could pertain their questions and see how they're going to answer it and see how they're going to develop through the conversation.
That's what actually I like it. You're a great. You never took any course on journalism, have you?
No, never have.
Well, I'll tell you, man. You know exactly what to ask at the right times, as well as knowing how to say it without offending anyone, which I think is an art, in my opinion. I think I'm blessed,
and I thank you for that, man.
Yeah.
Like I said, I'm not the journalist guy. I'm not the all-around be-all brainer of this whole thing.
Yeah.
Like I said, man, but look at yourself. You've paid your dues as well. You see, you have a reel there. You know what I mean? How much selectors can't say they have a reel?
You know,
or what a reel was.
When your name is Analog, what are you gonna do, bro? What are you gonna do? I mean, I gotta back my talk. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, man.
So, I mean, yeah. That's why I agreed. Like, I turned down one in few interviews only because I don't feel that sometimes you just have to feel a vibe, man, and understand and respect that
absolutely.
vibe, you know what I mean? and knowing where a person's coming from. I know you're coming from far. When you and I had the conversation, I took in some words that you said. It's okay. All right, he knows a little bit of his stuff and stuff like that. I can deal with this. You know, and that's what it is. It's about it right now in these times, man. My goodness, rest in peace, George Floyd and every other African American or African Canadian,
absolutely,
or anybody else that has died of, you know, selfishness and ignorance. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, man.
These are tough times.
Real tough in so many levels.
It's monumental. We are going through a monumental moment of change in history. I've been telling people to acknowledge this and take it in. Take it in. You see what I'm saying?
You know, because you know, you know what? It's funny. I got something to share with you. Actually, I was at the protest here locally. They had a Black Lives Matter protest. I had to do live to air for 93.3 last Saturday. And I remembered right after the program of the speakers at the protest, after all the speakers have done do their speeches and whatnot, I started going around to people walking around, just, you know, in support of the movement, of the protest movement. And at the first set of people I interviewed, there was a white couple, and I said to the girl, I says, how was your experience coming to this protest, you know, and taking in all of the speakers and what the messages they had? The first thing she said was, I have nothing to say because I'm not colored to say anything. And I said to myself, well, wait a minute. Why are you even here? You know what I'm saying? Because
you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, and it made me start to wonder that are people, you know, really trying to come out here to just kind of be a part of the vibe, or are you actually here to help the message? And but most of the people there were there for the message to basically support it, no matter what color they were, to basically say this has got to stop. And, you know, indigenous folks were there too, just backing all of the black folks that have been victimized. And you know, so tough times. And I'm glad, like you said, this is it now.
I ask this question. I ask this question all the time, and I don't have a problem with what's going on right now. Mm-hmm. I don't. If the anger, it needs to be let out. I understand that.
Absolutely.
But I keep asking what's next. Because when you loot and you run up and down on Saturday and Friday night, it's okay because you're not going to work Monday morning. Mm-hmm. So what happens Monday morning now? Do you go to work with the same people that, you know, Monday night? Are you going to go back on the streets and then go to work Tuesday morning and Wednesday night? So there needs to be a plan.
Well,
you see what I'm saying?
The quick fix for that is like that soca song, I duck in.
Like, honestly, I see a lot of people marching, and I'm hoping they're marching for the right reasons. Just like, you know, you're going to ask a lady that, you can tell she's not there for the right reasons. She might be there to go on Instagram and take a picture and say, I was there, right?
Well, actually,
but can you...
Before you continue, I wanted to just basically say before, folks, if you guys actually want to hear that clip, it's actually on our Facebook page, Analog Soundsystem International. Just go on there, and it's also on our IG, and listen to that part. It you know, and make your own views. Anyways, go ahead.
100, and that's something that they need to go listen to, because it tells the story that a lot of us have been telling. We're not fighting what you're marching for now. What we're fighting is, though, after you march, where do you go from there? Mm-hmm. Because you have to take it all the way.
That's right.
This is the monumental change that has to happen. It can't just be we're upset. Like I said, the other day when they got the other 3 officers arrested and the man's charge was upgraded, that's only a rice grain.
Yes, absolutely.
In a sand pit.
That's right.
That's a rice grain in a sand pit. 1 rice grain. Can you imagine if I throw a rice grain into a sand pit and tell you to go find it?
Gone.
Brothers,
it's gone.
You can't. You're going to take maybe days, years. And so it has to be what is next. And we need to have a unified plan. Like I said, I have no problem with what's going on now. I just want it to continue, but we have to continue on levels. You understand? Okay, we did this kind of thing. Now, that worked for that little step, because they may have just given you the officers, charged them, and to quiet you down. What happens when one of them gets off and two go to jail? Nah, brothers, one of them can't get off. Everybody must go to jail, because if it was you and I, we're looking at the death penalty, bro.
Absolutely.
I'm telling you that.
Absolutely. Hands down.
Right?
Yeah.
So you cannot stop. But the way we need to hit them is in the offices, in the league of the district attorney, in the league of the judge, in the league of the crown, in the league. We need to have people there as well. We need to make sure we have people who are looking out for the best interest of people.
That's right.
And like I said, and I say it all the time, not all white people are bad. That's not the cause here, right? My whole purpose is that you have to know who is who is there walking with you to serve a purpose for the what next, and who is there to take an Instagram picture. You see what I'm saying?
Well, this is what I'm saying. And also to elaborate too, I feel like the ones that stay silent, they may be good people, but they just don't want nothing to do with that whole ordeal because it's too sensitive. And you know, and
that's it.
And I think that's a problem that should be addressed too. Speak up, let it be known. You know that. I mean, we talk about it over and over.
If you do, though, we have to be careful, because maybe they don't have a voice in the community to speak up to. Maybe they are the few that they won't march, but they could be the what next, because they could be a lawyer or a judge or somebody who can't be on the front lines like that, but they're in the system. And we have to understand when we see them.
Okay, well, I got an idea for you. Wizology Show Radio, Caribbean Anthology Radio. You guys are welcome to come on this show or his show anytime and let your voice be heard. For real.
Let your voice. I do. I have an open forum all the time. So one day I just pop on and have an open forum, and I talk to all the guests from around the world, and we reason back and forth.
Very well. Good.
It is what it is, and now you have your platform as well. That, you know, if I could help in elevating it, I don't have a problem, because that's what the platform is there for, and that's what unity is there for, and that was what helping out each person is there for. There's no reason for me to keep what's it called? Anthology?
Caribbean Anthology.
Reason for me, right? Caribbean Anthology. There's no reason for me to keep it down, but to just be there and elevate. Like, I've reached a level where I'm not the greatest thing on YouTube or the greatest thing, like, you know what I mean, for Canada, but I'm important enough that thousands of people listen to me. So maybe I could help get 1,000 people to listen.
Correction, Miss Wiz. You're important enough because you're now a recommendation on YouTube.
Okay. Yeah, I give YouTube thanks, and you know, and give the people. What's important is the people. The people that subscribe to my YouTube channel, the people that take their time to listen when I'm on the air, the people that, you know, 100%, you know, you have some people that are on Wizology as soon as I log in.
Absolutely.
They're there.
Absolutely.
100. And if I don't respect those people, like if I have an interview that's gone wrong, like someone's not coming in, I'm not even wasting their time. I come on, I give them their respect. I say, I'm logging on just to let you know, because I didn't want to, you know, you're looking out for it, and then all of a sudden it's not here.
Right.
So I log on and let them know, and that's respect, because some of them I've never met, but I see their names in the last month so repetitively that I feel like, you know, they're part of the clique.
That's right.
So I respect them, and I give them thanks, and I appreciate that, and I appreciate you as well, again, because you didn't have to give me this opportunity, and you did.
I wanted to, and I think it's extremely important that somebody like yourself, who's been grinding day in, day out, I can only imagine the amount of editing you're probably spending a lot of time doing as well, like with these interviews. But I know what it's like, and I really, really commend you and give you a lot of props for really putting in the time and the work for something like this. And I hope it sort of inspires other people. A lot of people don't realize that Canada has massive resources when it comes to music in the reggae dancehall industry. And it's not just surface, well deep into it. There's people, family members of big artists. We could go with Burning Spear. I'm a good friend of the nephew of Burning Spear, and you may know many family linkage that we all know, of course. Shout out to
of course. Listen, man. Look, Beanie Man used to live here. Capleton used to live here. Shabba used to live here. Willie Williams, Leroy Gibbons. It goes on and on. Toronto and Canada in the whole is a great. Listen, we have the last 3 world clashes were won by Canadian sounds.
That's right.
2 from Turbo and 1 from Mystic. The last 3 world clashes were won by a Canadian sound. And in 2002, Rebel Tone, boom, Boss on the Gate, right?
That's Canada. What it is. And if you guys,
if you live in the city of Toronto or surrounding, and you're real close by, like you are, don't care what it be. I'm from Ottawa, born in Ottawa, but I'm going to tell you this: if Toronto don't say reggae for you, that's just it. We are the mecca of reggae music. Shout out to Vancouver and Winnipeg and Edmonton. But Toronto, it's where it's at for reggae music, and then it expands around the globe of Canada. Club-wise and them things at Edmonton, Winnipeg, you'll have a vibe, bro. You'll enjoy yourself. Montreal, you'll enjoy yourself. Vancouver has festivals. Canada is a great, great place. It's a great country. We need a lot more unity, though, especially through the sound selections. We need a lot.
Let me show you the credibility of this country when it comes to sound and so forth. If our iconic structure is the CN Tower, this country is meant for sound. I'm just saying. Which country can do that?
Yes, I. Real talk.
We're real sound, man. We have a big antenna over here.
We have the longest antenna in the world, so they can't ramp with it. We're good, man. We're good. Trust me. Man.
So in closing, I wanted to basically say, I know everybody's watching this and they don't know how to link you if they don't know already. But just throw down your IG and the social media platforms that they can experience your interviews, past and going into the future.
Yeah. Listen, I don't do Facebook. Never have. I've always had people who tried to do it for me. I never kept up. Never a fan. But Instagram, I've gotten used to, loved it, know it a little bit. So it's at Wizology Show. One word, WIZ. It's not WHIZ, it's WIZOLOGYSHOW. Or for the Vibe one, that's where I keep the clashes on Tuesdays and Friday nights at Wiz on Vibe 1. So it's always Wizology Show. You DM me. If you don't get it here, you could write under the meme and say, check your DM, Wiz, check your DM. Of course, I'm backlogged. I'm probably about maybe 3 to 4 days behind in DM. So I'm catching up. I was a lot further. I'm catching up.
Yes. This is the start I'm going on.
I try to answer everybody.
Yeah.
I try to answer a lot of people as much as I can. Sometimes you give me your phone number and I'll get it and I'll WhatsApp you and if I could talk to you. And I reason with a lot of strangers all the time. I just hold a reason and I hold a vibe.
Right.
Just because sometimes, giving somebody your 2 minutes is it's not going to take a lot out of you, but it'll be nice for somebody to, to hear your 2 minutes.
Yeah.
So I did. So respect to you, man. Respect
to you, Wiz, and I'm telling you, keep going what you're doing. We love it, and I'm telling you, we're here, we're behind you, and we're gonna keep supporting and rooting for you, man. Real things.
I appreciate that.
All right, that's DJ WIZ right here, the Wizology Show right here on Caribbean Anthology 93.3. Big ups to the man over there. Pow.
Respect.
Wow.
Yeah, you're listening to CFRU 93.3 FM, 250 watts of community power.